So, in Black Clover, the Wizard King was introduced as the strongest character, but due to certain events, it's now guaranteed that he'll be replaced. Luckily, there is a small number of people who could take over, and today I'm giving my totally biased opinion on who's best suited for the job. To start things off, we should briefly explain the Wizard King's role, because the job does involve more than just having aura. For example, we know the Wizard King has control over all Magic Knight squads and can use them like an army to take out threats. As a result, any potential Wizard King should be able to think strategically, and they need to have the respect of all Magic Knight captains. Beyond that, they also need to be able to handle politics, because in the past, Wizard Kings have been killed or imprisoned for doing things the royal family didn't like. In the case of Julius, he mostly did what he wanted, like when he made a foreigner a Magic Knight captain, but he was able to get away with these things because number one, he's just way too OP, like they couldn't kill him even if they wanted to, and number two, he is loved by the people. In that respect, the person most similar to Julius is Yuno, who as of making this video is the most well-rounded candidate. To put it simply, Yuno is loved by the public, loved by Mana, is respected by the royals, is captain of the most successful Magic Knight squad, has power on the same scale as Julius, and as Wizard King, he'd improve relations with the Spade Kingdom where his own mother is the queen. From a political standpoint, no one else has what Yuno brings to the table, because on the one hand, he's like this godly figure with 2 grimoires and the wind spirit, but on the other hand, he's also a man of the people who's lived most of his life as a peasant. Having been raised in the Forsaken realm, it makes sense that he relates more with commoners than he does with royalty, despite the difference in magical talent. His unique combination of star magic, wind magic, and spirit magic puts Yuno above all other Magic Knight captains in my opinion, and in chapter 356, he created one of the biggest spells in the series. Referred to as Neverland, this spell covers the entire Clover Kingdom, boosting the strength of all Magic Knights, while at the same time weakening their enemies. Inside this domain, Yuno even controls the flow of time, which I guess is similar to when he first got the wind spirit, but in this scenario, he's able to resist the Wizard King's time magic. A spell this complex goes way beyond what you'd expect from a teenager, and at the start of their fight with Lucius, the villain considered Yuno to be the only threat out of the Magic Knight captains. Of course, there are a ton of other examples for why he's my number one pick, but if we sat here and listed every single one, then the video would be way longer than I was planning. For that reason, let's just stick to the basics, which is that he has the strength, he has the strategic brain, he has the respect, he has no scandals, and he has the experience despite being so young. To top it off, if you've seen even the first episode, then you know he has a 4-leaf grimoire just like the first Wizard King. So all I'm saying is that if you were to design the perfect successor to Julius, then Yuno's resume would probably still be better than that person. Now, moving on, second place on this list belongs to Fuegoleon, who was actually recommended for the job before the final battle. For political reasons, Fuegoleon is the candidate that I think would cause the least drama, since he's a member of the royal family and one of the most experienced Magic Knight captains. What makes him interesting is that from early in the series, he didn't judge people based on their social status, and even defended Asta when the other royals tried to attack him. At the time, this way of thinking was incredibly strange for someone in his position, and it's likely because of his wisdom that he was chosen by the Fire Spirit. For context, in Black Clover, there are only 4 great spirits, and currently the Wind Spirit belongs to Yuno, the Water Spirit belongs to the Queen of the Heart Kingdom, and Salamander the Fire Spirit belongs to Fuego. Even though his sister is objectively more powerful, the Fire Spirit still chose him, implying good things about his character. On top of that, in episode 21, when Julius wasn't around, it was Fuegoleon who took charge when the capital was being attacked. According to the manga, Fuegoleon is also trusted by the people, but the one downside is that as he is right now, you couldn't rely on him to single-handedly protect the country. The character himself even acknowledges his own weakness compared to devils, but he does have the potential to fix this. Manga readers will know that if you have one of the 4 great spirits, then you also have the potential to access Saint Stage. Saint Stage gives the user the power to defeat devils, proven when Yuno destroyed Xenon and when Noel killed Magicula. If Fuegoleon took the time to learn this, then it'd definitely strengthen his case for being Wizard King, but as of making this video, he doesn't have it, and there are other Magic Knights who are objectively more powerful. One of those knights is Asta, who as the main character is the one we all expect to be Wizard King by the end. Born without any magic, Asta spent years training his body to become a physical specimen, and at the age of 15 gained the power of anti-magic. Like Julius, the source of Asta's power is a devil, and as the name suggests, anti-magic negates all other magic types. However, in the beginning, this didn't make him invincible, and to use it to its full potential, he had to get extensive training and new weapons. Throughout the series, Asta trained in the Heart Kingdom, the Clover Kingdom, and the Land of the Sun, on top of countless missions that nearly killed him. All these experiences deepened his control of anti-magic to the point where now he is Wizard King level. Although there are a bunch of examples, my personal favorite came in chapter 281 when Clover was being attacked by a giant demon. This demon was pretty much identical to the one we see at the start of every episode, and even the collective power of the Magic Knight squads wasn't enough to stop it. In fact, Damnatio made a comment that only Julius would be able to fight it. However, by the next chapter, it was Asta who just casually sliced the demon in half. What's crazy is that even after saving the kingdom by himself, a year later some people still didn't trust him due to his devil powers. It's possible this might change if/when he defeats Lucius, but the fact remains, devils and devil users are pretty much the most evil things in existence. So, even though Asta is a good person, it's just hard to imagine a future where everyone completely trusts him. That being said, he's not the type that needs everyone to like him, and as Wizard King, there's no doubt that he would transform Clover into a significantly less corrupt place. My one concern is that as a devil host with no magic and no social standing, it's unavoidable that one day certain nobles are going to work against him. Maybe he can avoid this if he marries into the royal family, but as things stand, Asta will never be accepted like the top two. Now, 4th place goes to Mereoleona, who has no interest in being Wizard King, but in terms of raw talent, she could do the job. In the same way that Asta and the first Wizard King took down giant demons, Mereoleona literally decapitated one with her fire magic. During the Black Clover movie, she also had a pretty even fight with one of the strongest Wizard Kings in history. So yeah, just purely based on stats, she is the most qualified royal. The issue is that she is too much of a free spirit who prefers to spend most of her time in nature looking for new ways to get stronger. While it is true that she still has leadership qualities, her interest in doing paperwork and politics is just non-existent. So as Wizard King, she would get bored almost immediately. If the job was forced on her though, then yeah, maybe she would lock in that scenario. However, it would definitely be a gamble. Switching over to the 5th best candidate, Nozel is someone who actually does have an interest in being Wizard King. In one chapter, his Mercury magic was described as having the strength of steel and the flexibility of water, giving Nozel endless offensive and defensive capabilities. When it comes to his personality, Nozel started off as probably one of the worst, most arrogant royals, right next to his siblings and the king, but over time he has been willing to apologize to Noel and also acknowledge the strength of peasants. If Nozel became the Wizard King, it's unlikely that he'd enact any kind of radical social change, but at the same time, I don't think he'd undo the progress that was made under Julius. Sometime before the final battle with Lucius, Nozel was recommended to be Wizard King alongside Mereoleona and Phegolion, but he turned it down due to a lack of strength. Although he's objectively powerful, on his own he lacks the potential to destroy a devil's heart, and he can't perform these country-wide feats like Julius and Yuno. Still though, he would be respected by everyone if he became the Wizard King, but to be honest, I think he might have more success in replacing the actual king. With that said, it's time to do a quick bonus round for all of the candidates who I think could be Wizard King if everyone else on this list dies. Firstly, we have William Vengeance, who was introduced as the ideal person to be the next Wizard King. Since this moment, William's stocks have fallen dramatically on account of him betraying the kingdom, getting captured, and also getting power crept by Yuno. That said, if all of the top 5 candidates disappeared, then yeah, he'd probably be next in line, and I only say that because people don't know that he was involved with the elves. I think if that ever comes out, then he would be ruined. Next up is Noelle, who as far as I know has shown zero interest in being Wizard King, but purely based on her magic potential, she could do it. For context, her magic was described as being around the same level as Julius, and in recent chapters she gained the Leviathan, which seems to be equal to the 4 Great Spirits. Her general magic knowledge is also significantly above most magic knights. In fact, you could argue it's above some of the captains too, because she's the only person to use both Saint Stage Spirit magic and Ultimate magic, which she learnt from the elves. Noelle's combat experience would also probably make her a good strategist as well, so as Wizard King or Queen, I'm sure she'd do fine. Lastly, the final 2 picks are Yami and Kaiser, who in this video are the ones least likely to get the role. As we know, Yami is obviously a slacker who has no business doing paperwork, but he does have a good eye for talent, and as a Wizard King, you need to know how to use talent correctly, which I think he would be able to do. As a young magic knight, he was described as being the best of his generation, along with Morgan, but due to him being a foreigner and due to years of consistent laziness, it's guaranteed that he wouldn't be loved by the nobles or by the people. In Kaiser's case, he's the oldest captain with decades of experience, and I see him as more of like a placeholder Wizard King who could, be in the position while Clover rebuilds itself. Following the shenanigans with Julius and Lucius, you'd imagine the people would want a familiar face they could trust, and Kaiser fits that description. The way I see it, he has what it takes to competently do the job for a few years, including the boring stuff like meetings and paperwork, before stepping down for someone younger or someone more revolutionary. I should also mention his vortex magic was strong enough to slow down the ancient demon, but he did lack what it takes to destroy it. Of course, like I said in the beginning, this is all just my biased opinion, so in the comments I want you to let me know who you think is best suited for the role. As a side note, all of the drawings in this video are available to buy as stickers, which you can use on your computer, your notebook, or anything you feel like. In the description, you can also find stickers we've made for other series like Jujutsu Kaisen and Blue Lock, so if you want to support the channel, then do check that out. Also, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss my new video next week, and until the next one, peace out.